Hello everyone, welcome to my Ghostbusters Remastered, professional difficulty, no upgrade walkthrough, and this is the museum level, and as you can see, Ray has been possessed by a possessor ghost, and now we just need to use the slime blower to drive the ghost out of him. And now we're going to use the slime tether to trap this ghost, because that is a really cool design choice. And now we move on to the next fight, which is against possessed humans and possessor ghosts. And the possessed humans are the most dangerous because they do a lot of damage with their attacks, so try to focus on them. And after you free Peck from the possessor ghost, there's going to be a whole bunch of possessor ghosts spawning in, and try to place a trap here prematurely to deal with these beauty queen ghosts. There we go. Yeah, it takes a lot of skill to use that slime tether to actually trap ghosts when you're not using the stasis stream, but when you do nail it, it's really satisfying. And just in case you're wondering, I have actually beaten the full game, and I've saved all my videos, so expect to see the walkthrough out very quickly, because this game is incredibly short. But as you can see, the possessor ghosts can actually possess your teammates, so be very careful of that. But thankfully, they don't know how to use the proton packs. If they could use the proton packs against you, you'd be dead immediately. But instead, they just try to use these energy blasts. You can definitely see that the game gets a lot easier now that you have the tools necessary. It's going to get even more easy when you get the Meson Collider, because the Meson Collider is the most powerful tool in the game. It absolutely demolishes bosses. It's very good against the Spider Witch Ghost, it's very good against the Slore, and it's very good against Shandor. Those bosses get absolutely destroyed by the Meson Collider. And just against normal enemies, the Meson Collider is just very strong as well. Like, using it against the Golem type enemies, their HP gets decimated. And then the fact that you can paint targets with the Meson Collider, and then all expulsions from the Overload Pulse will just hone in on that target, is even better, because you can triangulate where ghosts are if they decide to teleport away. But that fight's over now. Now we have a bunch of mannequins to deal with. And I'm using the Proton Stream plus Boson Dart trick to fire Boson Darts very fast. And if your team goes down, don't try to revive them immediately. They get in the way all the time, and all the enemies will prioritize you, and therefore you can trap them around corners very easily. But the mannequins are very weak to the Shock Blast. They get decimated by the Shock Blast, much like the paper constructs do in the library level. And the stasis stream does work on them, but it takes a lot longer to freeze them with the stasis stream. So I just recommend using the Shock Blast only, or just using Boson Darts. Because as you can see, the Boson Darts are so powerful. And a couple things to bear in mind with the projectiles that these mannequins throw. Obviously they throw it very fast, and at times their hitboxes can be really bad as well. So bear that in mind. Thankfully, the strafing is very effective, rather than just dodging. And we're very close to getting rid of these guys. There we go. And now we're going to transition on to the next fight, which is pretty challenging if you're rushing it. But as long as you're keeping your distance, you'll be fine. It's just the inclusion of the flying skulls in this section make it very difficult, because the Swarmer type enemies drain your HP very quickly. And I do get into a bit of a tight spot with this section, because I tried to repeat a trick that I managed to do on accident, where somehow the flying skulls got stuck inside the temple when my teammates were down, so I tried to replicate the same thing, but it turns out it didn't work. So I ended up getting hit several times by these flying skulls. But for the most part, you just want to use your Boson Darts against them if they cluster themselves together. There's the next spawn. And I'm just trying to get my team to push forward, but they're not doing it. I myself have to push forward for my team to move up. And thankfully, the team, while they don't do a lot of damage, they do tend to eliminate a lot of enemies, or just weaken them severely. You don't notice that in a lot of games. You know, the AI companions are always quite useless, and the damage they always do is not very reliable. But I guess because of the fact that your team can go down, they're trying to compensate for that by making it so that your team can actually damage ghosts and other enemies. So oftentimes you'll find a lot of enemies with their health drain, and it's all because your team was actually attacking. Even still though, it's still not a very effective strategy to rely on your team, because they don't do a lot of damage. But there are the Flying Skulls. This is the strategy I tried to replicate previously, but it didn't work. And look at that bullcrap. Hitting me without even touching me, that's stupid. Yeah, another reason why this is a pretty challenging encounter. And hitting these guys with the Boson Darts can be very difficult to time. I mean, you can try to use your Shock Blast as well, but I just don't recommend it because you put yourself in a very dangerous position to try to hit these guys. And they don't even have to touch you in order to damage you, which is stupid. And that way there was a mistake. Saw those mannequins pushing up. And I managed to eliminate all those flying skulls with the Boson Dart, thankfully. Got very lucky just then. But now these mannequins are pushing up, I can deal with them accordingly. There we go, they're done for. And now it's just the flying skulls. You can use the capture stream on individual skulls. It's a slower strategy of getting rid of them. But it can be effective if you're down to the last few stragglers. But oftentimes these flying skulls like to kill themselves because they do a suicide attack that does a lot of damage to you, but it ends up killing them in the process. So that's definitely a reliable strategy for a $100,000 only run. Just let the flying skulls kill themselves or any other type of swarmer type enemy. And you won't do a lot of damage to the environment, thankfully. This part here, they're going to be rushing you very fast, so try to keep your distance. I'm destroying a lot of the environment in the process, unfortunately, but this is not a run where you're going to beat the game with less than $100,000 worth of damage. And once again, I'm not reviving my team immediately because they get in the way all the time. And we skip directly to this, which is one of my favorite fights in the game. And this is a unique encounter because the ghosts in this section will actually be fighting each other because, of course, these are Civil War ghosts, and obviously you know the Union versus Confederate soldiers. You're fighting the exact same soldiers in this section, and so they're going to be fighting each other, and so they will damage each other. It's just, it takes a while if you're trying to let them weaken each other. So instead I'm just going to use the slime tether to my advantage. I think the real joy of this game is when you're actually busting ghosts. You know, it's cool that they put in all these dispersible enemies, but I want to bust ghosts. Especially when they've made ghost busting even more interesting in this game with the amount of ways you can just get rid of ghosts. And that's why I don't like the Lost Island level, because you're not busting any ghosts. You're just dealing with a bunch of dispersible entities. And it's not that interesting, in my opinion. And to be honest, though, the last half of this game feels kind of rushed, in my opinion. You know, the sections go by so quickly, and there's not a lot of diversity to the enemies to really make the sections that intriguing. I mean, the only real exception to this is the cemetery level. I mean, Return to Hotel Cedric and the Lost Island level don't really diversify the enemies that much, but the cemetery level is a big exception. But at the same time, I still kind of wish we were fighting more ghosts. You know, we're just fighting a bunch of cultist ghosts and cultist summoners. Those are the only ghost-type enemies you'll encounter in the cemetery level. And it would be cool if, on the final level of this game, you were fighting ghosts that you've been encountering throughout the full game, and it could have made for some randomized encounters. Can you imagine how awesome that would be as a final level? Where the section is going to be different every single time because the ghosts you'll be encountering will be different. I mean, sure, it would have made for some pretty hard work, and maybe it would have led to some very broken encounters, where if you have this particular enemy in a certain section, it would have caused the section to be broken entirely. But still, though, it would have been a really cool idea. Heck, they could have even included some of the ghosts you fight in the multiplayer only, because there are certain ghosts in the multiplayer that you don't encounter in the single-player mode. And that was what was so appealing about the multiplayer mode for a lot of people, the fact that you were busting all these different enemy types. And Times Square was the level in the multiplayer mode that you really noticed a lot of these new enemy types that you've never encountered in the single-player mode. It's just such a shame that they had to close the multiplayer server because nobody was playing the game. But they only closed it for the PS3 version for some reason. The Xbox 360 version, the multiplayer is still active. And therefore, the Xbox One version is still active as well, I believe. I mean, I don't think the remastered version is the case. I think it's only the backwards compatible game on the Xbox One that actually has the multiplayer mode. I'm not too sure, really. If the Xbox One remastered version has the multiplayer mode, I'm going to be jealous. But this encounter here, this is a really tough encounter. You have a bunch of Union ghosts in here. You have these mannequins that are very aggressive on you, and I'm somehow getting iframes during my dodges, which doesn't make any sense. But they work exactly like the Centurions do in the library level, where you can just shoot them with the shock blast, and it will just go through the shield. And that is the end of that encounter. This part here, stand where I am, so that the enemies don't prioritize you as much. You want to get rid of the flying skulls in this room when they do spawn. And you'll occasionally want to take pot shots at the mannequins. But once you get rid of the flying skulls, you can just proceed to go into the room and get rid of the other enemies. But yeah, don't make my mistake and just stand there, because they will prioritize you occasionally. You want to just put the geometry between yourself and them. One of the most effective methods that I've found when dealing with the swarm type enemies is just fire at one spot that the enemies seem to pass through all the time, and it just seems to dwindle the horde greatly. And there we go, that's the end of that encounter. Now for this one, we just have a bunch of mannequins. But as you can see, the shock blast is so good. They really make the weapons feel powerful in this game. This is what it means to be a Ghostbuster. Definitely. So for this encounter, there's 2 waves of these mannequins. We are just about to finish off the first wave. And then the second wave will happen once we get through this door. And the second wave is the hardest because there's a lot more mannequins and there's also shield guys. And they can put a lot of pressure on you if you're not careful. And right there, I don't know if you noticed, but I froze one of the mannequins with the stasis stream, and my partner shot the mannequin at a distance and destroyed it. That right there is really cool. That could possibly be a potential strategy, because the AI is prioritizing the shock blast over every other weapon, because they're using the correct weapon in this case. So if you freeze an enemy at a distance with the stasis stream, maybe you can actually get your AI partners to deal with the rest of them. See, look at that! My AI partner was at a distance, and he was able to defeat that mannequin. That is so cool. This shock blast plus stasis stream combo, my god, does it feel powerful when you're using it against the right enemies. And my teammate is about to go down. There we go, but this is fine. And right there, I managed to duck under the spear. Very rare that that happens. Where somehow reviving your teammates shifts your hitbox so you can avoid hits like that. But it only works at a distance, unfortunately. And once we're done with this particular encounter, we're going to gain access to the Meson Collider. And you're going to see the Meson Collider demonstrated properly when used against the chairman and for the future levels of this game. Because they will just destroy bosses. They will destroy so many other enemy types. It is just poetry in action when you're just using the Meson Collider. I still can't believe the Meson Collider is as powerful as it is, even when unupgraded. I thought it was going to be trash, in all honesty, when I was not using the upgrades, but I was wrong. It was still a very valuable tool. So do not sleep on the Meson Collider. It will save you in so many tight situations. Like the German boss fight right now. So this guy's weakness is the eyeball that is on his chest. Use the Meson Collider to tag him, and then use the overload pulse to triangulate where he'll be. And when he goes into the corners of the battleground like this, he will spawn enemies. He will cause these black slime portals to be activated, and enemies will come out of it. The first wave of enemies will always be black slime crawlers. And the crawlers are very easy to disperse with boson darts, so use that. I mean, they aren't too much of a threat as long as they're not in the higher numbers. When they're in the higher numbers, they're very deadly. As is the case with a lot of enemies that are in groups. So close the portals, and then finish off the stragglers. And once you finish off the last straggler, he's going to appear in the cardinal direction. And aim for his eyeball. His moves, try to take cover behind this pillar, and he won't hit you. I mean, he will down your teammates every so often, but you can just revive them. Not a big deal. And he's summoning enemies again. He's going to be summoning black slime crawlers, and he's going to be summoning black slime fiends. The Meson Collider is the best choice to use against the black slime fiends. It will destroy their health. I mean, the game tells you that the slime blower is the most powerful weapon to use against black slime enemies, but it's not really that honest. The Meson Collider is significantly better. Just be careful where you shoot the Meson Collider, because if your AI gets in the way, they will be tagged by the Meson Collider, and all expulsions from your overload pulse will hit them instead. So just try to reset the Meson Collider if you hit an AI partner on accident. And be careful with this move. This move lasts for quite a long time, and it can damage your AI partners a lot. There he is. He's very low on life. Like, look at this. We've already demolished his health. This is how powerful this weapon is. However, the German doesn't go down as fast as the Giant Slore does in the Lost Island level. The Giant Slore goes down in what feels like 1 minute. This guy, he takes roughly 3 minutes to finally die. This time, on this wave, I didn't get the Black Slime Ghosts. I just got the Black Slime Crawlers and Black Slime Fiends. Wonder why I didn't get any Ghosts. But whatever. We're about to finish off the German once he actually shows his ugly face. There he is. And he is done. And that is the end of this level. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.